Hello everyone and welcome to Edusurg Clinics. I am Dr. Gunjan Desai and today we are going to continue our discussion on the topic of diverticulitis. And now we are going to go into the clinical presentation and the investigations that we do, the differential diagnosis and some of the CT scans and colonoscopy findings that you see in patients with diverticulitis. So when it comes to investigations, the clinical presentation will depend on the spectrum of the diverticulitis that we have seen in the previous video. And based on where the patient stands in the classification, the presentations may differ. The common features are left lower quadrant pain, which can be continuous and can range from dull to severe. Patients can have fever because of inflammation or due to abscess or peritonitis. Palpable abdominal lump is many times present, and you will see one of our patients scan where a lump was present. Altered bowel habits is quite common. GI bleed is quite common. You can have features of peritonitis in severe cases of complicated diverticulitis. And you can have fecal urea, pneumaturia, and recurrent UTI features suggestive of a colovesical fistula. You can have features of intestinal obstruction or stool emanating from vagina, which is a feature of colovaginal fistula. When it comes to workup, leukocytosis is commonly seen in patients with diverticulitis. Remember that if CRP is more than 150, you are looking at an acute case which can have some sinister findings. Fecal calprotectin is often advised in cases of diagnostic dilemma where calprotectin will give you an idea if the patient has inflammatory bowel disease or diverticulitis. So that is something that will help you. Procalcitonin is raised in cases with infection. Creatinine is routinely done for these patients are going to need a CT scan with contrast. And also in cases with recurrent UTI, the creatinine may be abnormal. Now, when it comes to imaging, X-ray is not very specific when it comes to diverticulitis, but you do an X-ray abdomen and chest standing with both domes of diaphragm, especially to rule out free air. In ultrasound, sometimes it is useful when the patients have a palpable lump, you can see a collection or an abscess in an ultrasound, and this can also help in pigtail drainage. However, when it comes to the gold standard investigation for diagnosis as well as for management purposes, it is the CT scan abdomen and pelvis with or without oral and IV contrast. So negative or positive oral contrast will depend on what you want to see, but contrast will help you in seeing extravasation, free perforation, or contrast going into the abscess cavity, suggesting that the diverticula has a perforation. So CT scan abdomen and pelvis with oral and IV contrast is the gold standard. It has a sensitivity of 97% and a specificity as well as the positive predictive value is 100%, whereas a negative predictive value is 98%. However, when you see a CT scan, don't limit yourself to seeing only the left lower quadrant. Also look at other pathologies in that area, and that is something that is very important. Overall accuracy of a CT scan done properly for diverticulitis is 99%. Common CT findings, you can see bowel wall thickening and pericolic fat standing in more than 90% of patients, facial thickening in 50%, free fluid and inflamed diverticula in around 40 to 45% of cases. So CT scan can help you in detecting abscess, perforation that is seen by free air, obstruction, you will see air fluid levels as well as the transition. Fistulas can be identified. Remember that it is the best for colovesical fistula. Nearly 92% of cases can be diagnosed easily with a CT scan. Helps in detection of malignancy as well as post-operative problems in a patient who's operated for diverticulitis. As far as complications are concerned, the accuracy of CT is 100% for a perforation, 92% for an abscess, but only 52% for a phlegmon. So remember this data, this gives you an entire overview of what a CT scan can do in a patient on diverticulitis. So some of our cases, you can see here a big abscess cavity, nearly 4.9 centimeter in relation to the colon. And you can see that this entire abscess cavity has air within. So basically a diverticular abscess. Multiple diverticula here you can see, but an abscess which is a bit away from the bowel and an abscess with free air. This is a diverticular abscess. You can see a diverticula here outpouching multiple small diverticulas here in the colon. So these are some of the findings that you can see. This is an inflamed bowel. You can see an abscess. This is a normal bowel, and that is how you can identify various structures in a scan. So CT-based classification, as we discussed previously, there is a Hansen-Stock classification and a Buckley classification. The Buckley classification is more for severity, whereas Hansen-Stock classification is more like the Hinchey classification. You have stage 0, which is a diverticular disease. Stage 1 is acute uncomplicated diverticulitis. Stage 2 can be abscess and perforation, or purulent peritonitis, fecal peritonitis is to see here. Stage 3 is chronic recurrent diverticulitis. More important is the Buckley classification on scan, where it can give you the severity. Mild is only wall thickening plus fat stranding. Moderate is a wall thickening greater than 3 mm or a small abscess. Severe is wall greater than 5 mm, free air, abscess greater than 5 centimeter, and extraluminal contrast. So remember the severe features, I think that is very important. So whenever you see a bowel wall thickening more than 5 mm, free air, abscess more than 5 centimeter, and extraluminal contrast, these are severe cases of diverticulitis. Buckley classification has a management correlation. Mild cases can be conservative. Moderate cases can be managed with elective surgery, whereas severe cases are going to be high surgical risk, definitely need surgery, but the surgical plan may change. Coming to colonoscopy, it is relatively contraindicated in the acute diverticulitis setting, a very commonly asked question and clinically very relevant. So remember this line. Colonoscopy is relatively contraindicated in the acute setting. It is performed after 6 weeks of an acute attack. Is it mandatory? The answer is no. Usually it is done in cases with diagnostic uncertainty, and the differential diagnosis most commonly are inflammatory bowel disease and malignancy. In acute setting, it can be ischemic colitis. There is an endoscopy-based classification, which is DICA, which is a mnemonic, the diverticulosis extension, that is D. Is it in left colon or right colon? The brackets show you the points. Inflammatory signs can be edema, hyperemia, erosions, or SCAD, that is segmental colitis associated with diverticulosis. Count up to 15 and more than 15, rigidity, that is basically looking at fibrosis, and stenosis is 4. Additional points are for pus and bleeding. And this is how the staging is done on colonoscopy. Don't worry if you are seeing multiple classifications. I would still recommend that you remember the Buckley's severe point and the modified Hinchey classification, as well as the CDD. If these three you can remember, that is more than enough for your practical approach to managing these patients with diverticulitis. So just a brief on modified Hinchey classification. It is again based on CT scan. 0 is mild clinical diverticulitis. 1A and 1B are small abscesses. 2 is a big abscess or a distant abscess. 3 and 4 are purulent peritonitis and fecal peritonitis. F and O are additional points, fistula or obstruction. So that is something that you need to remember. So now we have seen how to diagnose patients with diverticulitis. The entire slide on CT scan was very important. Role of colonoscopy and role of blood investigations. Now we will focus specifically on management in the next video. and some very specifics of surgery and very high yield points for NEET as well as your exams as well as practice in the next part of this series, which will be the last video on this series. Thank you.